The streets of Shanghai roar at noon, yet the sound is all wrong. A masked man walks into a gold shop, hammer in hand, crowd already filming. Glass explodes. He bags the gold slowly, having no fear of the police. Elsewhere, a mother counts 15 yuan on her son's birthday. No cake. Youth scrape by on 3,000 yuan months. Farmers burn unsold crops. Classrooms echo with the voice of one last student. This is China Undercover, exposing a nation where despair wears a white mask and hunger counts coins. In October 2025, downtown Shanghai pulses with weekend shoppers, but inside one jewelry store, time freezes. Cao, 37, a father of two unemployed for 11 months, raises a small hammer. The first strike cracks the counter like thunder. Shards scatter across the floor. He scoops necklaces into a plain plastic bag, deliberate, unhurried. Outside, phones rise in a forest of screens. He doesn't flinch. Police arrive in 4 minutes. "I just wanted 3 meals a day," he says as cuffs snap shut. His calm voice cuts through the chaos, a confession that chills the crowd. Beijing, the same week, under a flickering street lamp. A young mother opens her palm. 15 yuan in coins. Today is her son's birthday. The bakery window glows with cakes priced at 25 yuan and up. She stares, coins cold against her skin. No purchase. No song. She turns away, slippers scraping the pavement, the weight of another empty celebration pressing on her shoulders. In Guangzhou, a delivery rider hunches over his phone in a dim dorm. His monthly income, 3,000 yuan. He orders a modest meal, rice, a thin strip of pork, pickled cabbage, for 6.9 yuan. The food arrives steaming, but he eats mechanically, chopsticks moving in silence. "I ride 14 hours a day for this," he says, wiping his mouth. "One bowl, 5 minutes, then back to the streets. Next year, even this might vanish." Dawn breaks over a construction site on the city's edge. 40 workers form a tight circle around the foreman. They have labored 42 days without a single payment. "We poured concrete for this tower," one man demands, voice raw. The foreman spreads empty hands. The boss disappeared. No money. In the back, a woman clutches her last transfer receipt. 200 yuan sent to her child in the village. Now her total savings, 20 yuan. She buys 2 steamed buns and 2 packs of pickled mustard. "That will last 3 days," she murmurs, tucking the food into her bag like fragile hope. In rural Henan, a primary school door swings open to reveal rows of vacant desks. Only one child sits in the front row. Nationwide births in the first quarter of 2025, 300,000. The previous year, 9 million. The teacher runs her fingers across the dusty blackboard, chalk lines from last term still visible. "I taught 3 generations in this room," she says, her voice echoing off bare walls. Now the laughter is gone. Heilongjiang hosts a massive talent fair under harsh fluorescent lights. 110,000 graduates, bachelors, masters, PhDs, queue for barely 200 openings. One job posting stands out. Master's degree required. Salary, 2,000 yuan. A young man in line shakes his head. 4 years of university to earn less than a street cleaner, he says. He rips his resume in half. The pieces drift to the floor like fallen ambitions. An industrial park outside the city lies abandoned. 13 cavernous workshops, once part of a billion-yuan auto parts empire, now rust in silence. Machines stand idle, covered in dust. Piles of inventory rot in corners. The former owner now drives a pickup for ride-hailing apps. "I bought this truck for weekend fishing," he explains, gripping the wheel. "Now I haul strangers' packages to keep my family fed." In a narrow alley after dark, an elderly man from Anhui curls up inside a tricycle cart. No rent money, no home. He pats the cold metal floor. It's warmer than the open street, he says, pulling a thin blanket over his shoulders. Inside a bank branch at 2 a.m., an employee records a quiet voice memo. She has been forcibly transferred to the credit card division. Salary cut in half, no compensation. They erode our dignity 1 yuan at a time, she whispers into the phone, the glow illuminating tired eyes. Morning light falls on a modest apartment courtyard. A court auction notice hangs on the door. A family of 3 stands outside what was once their home. Purchased for 2.3 million yuan in 2021, now valued at 1.1 million. Mortgage payments overdue. The mother holds a framed photo of happier days in front of that same door. I saved for 15 years, she says, the frame trembling in her grip. A neighborhood supermarket hums with fluorescent lights. Eggs sell for 3 yuan per kilogram. Pork, 4 yuan. Cabbage, 0.2 yuan. A shopper carefully counts coins at the register. I used to buy meat every week, she says, placing eggs in her bag. Now, eggs are my treat. Behind her, the meat counter sits bare. Back in Shanghai, the gold shop has new glass, new displays. The same hunger lingers in the air. In a detention cell, Chow receives his first hot meal in months. White rice, 1 slice of pork, pickled vegetables. He pauses between bites. My daughter turns 7 next week, he says to the empty wall. She asked for a cake. Official data from the Ministry of Education, released October 10th, reveals a staggering crisis. 17.5% of students aged 6 to 16 suffer from mental disorders, 1 in every 6. To address rising suicides and psychological strain, the ministry issued 10 measures on October 23rd. No exam rankings, reduced testing, 2 hours of daily physical education, guaranteed sleep, and phones banned from classrooms. Yet the ministry's measures barely scratch the surface. Beijing scholar Wang Hua, speaking under a pseudonym, cuts through the ministry's press release. The system demands ranking at every level, jobs, schools, even marriages, he says. Ban exam rankings, but parents still hire tutors at 500 yuan an hour. Children learn perfection or perish. Add a society where trust is dead, scams, abductions, organ rumors, and tell me how a child's mind stays healthy. Mainland lawyer Chen Feng points to the root. Communist ideology erases natural curiosity, he states. Children are lively explorers by birth, yet churches bar minors, while 100% are forced into the young pioneer's red scarf. One bans faith, the other demands blind loyalty. No wonder 1 in 6 breaks. From Sydney, Chinese school principal Dr. Lin Song offers a chilling theory. 2 hours of PE daily, he asks. In a system obsessed with control, healthy bodies serve a purpose. Strong organs for the powerful. I pray I'm wrong, but history whispers otherwise. These voices expose the lie. A policy on paper cannot heal a society that ranks souls and harvests hope. The nation's despair weaves through every scene. A hammer falling in daylight, coins counted under streetlights, classrooms reduced to echoes, fields left to rot. A father chooses prison for steady meals. A mother walks away from birthday cakes. Youth trade degrees for day labor. The middle class dissolves into survival. This is the raw pulse of China in 2025. Hunger measured in yuan, hope measured in silence. The despair spills beyond the city walls, seeping into fields and factories where survival is measured in scraps. In Shandong, a farmer stands amid rows of cabbage, the air thick with smoke. Prices have crashed to 0.2 yuan per kilogram, not worth harvesting. He sets a match to the pile, flames licking the night sky. My field becomes my furnace, he says, watching his year's labor burn. The fire warms his hands but not his stomach. A clothing factory in Guangzhou locks its gates at noon. 130 workers gather outside, clutching unpaid wage slips. 6 months without a single yuan. One seamstress holds up a child's dress she stitched herself. "I made this with care," she says, fingers tracing the seams. "Now I can't afford to dress my own daughter." The fabric flutters in the wind like a white flag of surrender. In a university dorm on the outskirts of Wuhan, a recent graduate folds his diploma into a cardboard box. 90% of his class remains jobless. "I studied anime design for 4 years," he says, sealing the box. "Now I'll return to the village and raise pigs." His laugh is hollow, echoing off bare concrete walls. A maternity ward in Xi'an glows under sterile lights, but the cribs stand empty. A nurse walks the silent hallway, her footsteps the only sound. "I delivered 10 babies a week last year," she says, smoothing a tiny blanket. "Now I prepare beds that will never be used." The blanket remains folded, waiting for a future that may never arrive. Shenzhen's job market enforces a cruel cutoff. Under 35 only. A 38-year-old engineer with a PhD tears down the sign. "I designed bridges," he says, crumpling the paper. "Now I apply to sweep streets for 80 yuan a day." His hands, once steady with blueprints, now tremble with rage. At a high-speed train station, migrant workers drag suitcases wrapped in plastic. They head home early. No jobs left in the cities. One man balances an electric bike on his shoulder. "Guangzhou used to feed us," he says, sweat beading on his brow. "Now it spits us out." His young son clutches a single plastic toy, eyes wide at the crowds. A modest home in Tianjin faces the auction block. The family saved for 15 years to buy it. Now the court values it at 40% of the original price. The father stands in the empty living room, holding a child's drawing taped to the wall. "This was our dream," he says, tracing the crayon lines. "Now we rent a basement with mold on the ceiling." In a village in Henan, 100 bachelors over 30 gather at dusk. The cost of a wedding, 200,000 yuan. Average monthly income, 5,000 yuan. One man kicks the dirt road. "My mother asks when I'll marry," he says. "I tell her when pork flies at 4 yuan a kilo." The others nod in silence, the weight of tradition crushing their futures. A discount supermarket in Beijing draws long lines at opening. Pork sells for 6 yuan per kilogram, a rare bargain. A shopper clutches a small package of eggs. "I used to fill my cart," she says, placing the eggs carefully in her bag. "Now this is my meat for the week." Behind her, shelves empty faster than they can be stocked. A factory canteen serves lunch in near silence. One bowl of rice, one spoonful of cabbage. A handwritten sign on the wall reads, "Thank you for your hard work." A worker flips it over and scrawls in red marker, "Where is our pay?" The ink drips like fresh blood onto the table. In another talent fair, a company booth sits empty. A small sign explains, "Observing market conditions only. No hiring, just watching." A graduate stares at the vacant table. "They came to measure our desperation," he says, voice flat. His untouched resume lies folded in his pocket. A delivery rider in Chongqing counts his day's tips under a street lamp. 80 yuan total. He opens his app to order the 6.9 yuan meal. Order cancelled. Restaurant too far. He stares at the screen. "I am the delivery guy," he whispers to no one. The bike's headlight flickers, then dies. The gold shop in Shanghai gleams with fresh repairs. New glass reflects the same tired faces passing by. A new customer pauses at the window, eyes fixed on a child's bracelet, priced at 1,800 yuan. He nods once, then walks away empty-handed. The city swallows him whole. The despair binds every story, fields burning for warmth, factories locked in silence, cribs waiting in vain, villages of lonely men. A father trades freedom for prison rice. A graduate swaps dreams for pig feed. A mother measures love in steamed buns. The middle class dissolves into survival, 1 yuan at a time. This is China in 2025, where hunger has a price tag and hope has no receipt. Thanks for watching China Undercover. Smash that like button. Subscribe for more truth. Share this if the despair hits close to home. What do you think? Can a nation survive when its people count coins for survival? Comment below.